Okay, this is lesson 4.2, multiplying binomials. In this lesson, we're going to do some multiplication and we're going to multiply binomials. To understand what we're doing, we need to know what a binomial is. So first, some terminology. We're going to start with the word polynomial. Polynomial is an algebraic expression, so that means numbers and letters, made up of one or more terms. And the terms are separated by either addition or subtraction. So for example, 2x squared plus 3x minus 7. In this example, we have three terms, 2x squared, 3x, and minus 7. And note we can't put these together because none of them are like terms. Three types of polynomials we need to be familiar with. We need to be familiar with monomial, binomial, and trinomial. Now, I boxed the first part of each of those words. Why? Well, because mono means one, bi means two, and tri means three. So these three words, monomial, binomial, and trinomial, are just different types of polynomials. They're all polynomials. But a monomial has one term, a binomial has two terms, and a trinomial has three terms. Now, let's look at what those could be as examples. Well, a monomial could be as simple as the number 3. Or it could have a letter, like 3x. Or it could have a letter with an exponent, like 3x squared. It doesn't have to have a letter at all. It doesn't have to have an exponent at all. But there has to be something written down. Now, it can have multiple letters, like x, y, z. It could have a number with multiple letters. It can have a number with multiple letters with different exponents. But what it doesn't have is addition or subtraction separating any of those things. They're all one term. They're all together. There's no plus between the 3 and the x squared. A binomial is when you have two terms that are broken up, like x plus y, or 3 plus x, or 3x minus y, or 8x squared plus 2yz. We have two separate terms with a sign in the middle. 1, 2, sign. 1, 2, sign. 1, 2, sign. They're all broken up. And a trinomial is just a binomial with one more thing. So I'm going to take all of these and I'm just going to add one more thing. X plus y plus z. Or 3 plus x minus y. Or 3x minus y plus z squared. We're just adding an extra term. So let's see if we can identify monomials, binomials, trinomials. First expression, x squared plus 5x. Well, this is a binomial because we have 1, 2 terms being separated by a sign. The next one's a monomial because there's only one term. And then finally we have another binomial because we have 45p squared q, then we have a sign, then we have 12q cubed. 15q cubed. I want you to try the last ones. There's 3 left, and I'll give you a hint. There's one of each. One trinomial, one binomial, one monomial. So this lesson is not necessarily about just picking out what type of polynomial we have. we're going to look specifically at binomials, and we're going to look at what happens when you multiply them. So, to multiply binomials, we follow a step called FOIL. F-O-I-L. And FOIL is the directions to apply the distributive property when you have a bracket times a bracket with two things in each bracket. So like this, x plus 2 times x plus 3. Notice we have a bracket in front of another bracket and it's multiplying. It's like doing distributive property twice. We have to take the x and multiply it by everything in the bracket, and we have to take the 2 and multiply it by everything in the bracket. And the way to organize your multiplication is to do FOIL. FOIL says multiply the first terms in each bracket together. Then multiply the outside terms. Then multiply the inside terms. Then multiply the last terms. And I want to show you what this looks like. First terms. That means the term at the beginning of both brackets. So that means x and x. That's the f in FOIL. What happens when you multiply x and x? Well, you get x squared. That's the x times x step. That's the f in FOIL. The next step would be outside terms. That's the first thing in the first bracket and the last thing in the second bracket, the ones on the outside. And that's the O step. So the O step is x times 3. Well, when you multiply a number and a letter, the letter gets the number in front of it, 3x. Since there's no negative sign, this is positive. The inside steps are the two in the middle. 2 times x. Well, 2 times x would just be 2x, and again it would be positive. And the L step, the last step, is the last terms in each bracket. That's the 2 and the 3. Well, 2 times 3 is 6. And now you've just FOILed. You've got your F step, your O step, your I step, and your L step, and you've got 4 answers. And now there's one more step, and that's the collecting of like terms. Notice 3x and 2x are like terms. X squared doesn't have a like term. 6 doesn't have a like term, but 2 and 3 make 5 x's. And this is FOIL. This is how we FOIL. Let's flip it over. We're going to do one more FOIL example, and I'm going to leave you 2 to practice. We've got 3x minus 2 and 2x plus 5. So we're going to FOIL. The F step is the 3x times 2x. F is 3x times 2x. Well, when you're multiplying two terms that both have both numbers and letters, 3 times 2 is 6, and x times x is x squared. So first part is 6x squared. The O step is 3x times 5. When you multiply a term that has a letter and a term that doesn't, you just multiply the numbers. 3 times 5, and the letter stays the same. Last 2 steps, negative 2 times 2x, that's our I step. Well, negative 2 times 2 is negative 4, and we don't have an x to multiply by, so the x doesn't change. And our last step is negative 2 times 5. Negative 2 times 5 is negative 10. I'm just going to box this. There's our work. Now, you don't have to show all this work when you do the question. You just need to be able to get to this point. what I would suggest is probably showing your work the first few times you do FOIL questions. And then you can get to a point where you can probably just go straight from here to here. Last step is to collect our like terms. We have two like terms. 15 minus 4 is 11. Those are our x terms. And we have a minus 10 on the end. Okay, so there's two examples left for you. There's practice 1 and practice 2. I want you to give those two a shot. Last thing we're going to do is an application question. So you can pause the video now and try those practice questions, or you can come back at the end of the lesson and give them a shot. Application. A swimming pool has the dimensions length and width. Our length is 2x plus 1, and our width is 3x minus 3. Determine an expression for the area in terms of x. Well, let's draw what we have. We have a rectangular swimming pool, and the length is 2x plus 1, and the width is 3x minus 3. Oops, go over a little bit so you can see that 3x. There we go. So this one's the same as this one, and this one's the same as this one. Now, if you forget, area of a rectangle is length times width. And if we want an expression for the area, we would have to take the length and multiply by the width. Well, they're not just numbers, they're expressions. So we take our length expression, 2x plus 1, and we multiply it by our width expression, 3x minus 3. And now we're just doing exactly what we've been doing this whole lesson. We have a bracket times a bracket, so we're going to FOIL. 2x times 3x is our first step. We get 6x squared. I'll draw my arrow. Second step is the O step, the outside step. 2x times negative 3 is negative 6x. The I step, 1 times 3x is 3x. And 1 times negative 3 is our last step. There's our result of FOILing. Now we just need to collect our like terms. And we end up with our area is 6x squared. Negative 6x plus 3 is negative 3x minus 3. And this is our final answer for our expression for area. Last step is find the area when x is 10. Well, that's not too bad. Area equals 6x squared minus 3x minus 3. And now we're just going to replace our x with 10. So we get 6 times 10 squared minus 3 times 10 minus 3. To solve, we have to do some bed maths. 10 squared is 100. That's our exponent step. Now we can do some multiplying. 6 times 100 is 600. Negative 3 times 10 is negative 30. And minus 3 is on the end. One more step, put these numbers together. 600 minus 30 is 570. Minus 3 is 567 meters. And we're talking about area, so we're meters squared. And there's our area. This is a very typical application question. You can definitely expect to see an application question like this on your practice assignment and during your unit evaluation. So what I would suggest now is trying some practice questions. And if you haven't tried the two practice that are in the lesson, I would take a shot at those and check your answers on the course website. And that's it for lesson 4.2. I'll see you for 4.2b, special products.